At this point, we had the paramedics coming in and I remember getting back to her within minutes, it seemed like, or seconds. When I got back to her as she was laying on the ground, the paramedics arrived, and there was some miraculous things that started at that instant, laying on the pavement. And I'd like to have Kate kind of share that with you.
Well, I was out. I don't remember it, but I was told that before the paramedics got there, one woman and two younger girls came up. They were in beautiful flower dresses like they had just come from church. And they came over and they asked, can we touch her? And Shawn said, no, don't move her. And then they said, maybe we pray over her. And he said, yes, do. So Shawn, our good friend that was with us, Fredo from another bike, and these three women prayed. Well, he looked down on me and looked up to thank them, and they were gone. And when I was told that, I said, they were angels. And it is a little interesting to me. Our accident was right next door to a cemetery. And I swear they were angels, and it was God's way of saying, it's not going to stop. You're going to get better. And like I said, I wasn't awake, but that's the first thoughts that came to my head.
So that was a big, dramatic, we call it a miracle at the beginning of our roller coaster ride, and it just continued in the emergency room that evening. Now, they detained me along with our fellow riding companion. They detained us on the scene for close to 4 hours. So the word we had with Kate was, look, it's probably going to be fatal. With them detaining us, they were pretty much racking together a story of, it was would have been vehicular manslaughter. And we talk more about it in our book in detail, but what's so tough is you've got to have your wits with you, and you've really got to have your wits with you in an accident where someone is or could be fatally injured. That evening, the doctors basically had us sitting on pins and needles and said it's probably going to be death for Kate. The toughest call that I've ever had to make, I'd met Kate's family once on a kind of a reunion into Wolf, Wyoming on a horseback ride. So they knew me, but it had only been a month or two prior. Kate and I had only been going out for 90 days. So the toughest call was calling her folks and letting them know what we'd been involved in. The conversation with the neurosurgeon basically was like, look, your girlfriend's probably going to die. If she lives, she is never going to speak again.
That's a joke because I'm a girl.
So she's making up for it. Our joke is Kate's now making up for it. So in the morning, when you're trying to wake up and you get the blah, 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 I promised myself that I would never cut her off and say, let me wake up. I just promised myself to zip it and just be thankful and blessed that she's chewing my ear off. So she's making up for that, and we're proud. A lot of y'all in the medical field, and we talked last year in Denver to the Traumatic Brain Injury Conference to a lot of survivors. So it was a lot of folks in wheelchairs, a lot of people that were with their families in the crowd that were really getting the things we're talking about. And most of you, or a lot of you in the medical field, the ICP, I'm coming in from never being in a hospital, our family being blessed with good health and never having to take care of anybody. I'm learning all these ICP, intracranial pressure. Well, Kate, after the surgery, the initial surgery, they removed 15% of her left frontal and temporal part of her brain tissue. It can control speech. But within the first 72 hours, it spiked. And it was spiking off the charts to the point of the pressure had to be relieved. And they gave us a choice. Leave her skull in and she's probably going to die, or remove her bone flap, which is basically the left side of her skull. This was probably the toughest and darkest part of my life. And it was, go ahead.
Excuse me. And the hardest thing for Shawn was they tried to communicate with my folks, but they were on the way from the hospital to where they were staying and they couldn't reach them. So the doctor asked Shawn, and Shawn said, well, I don't have any legal right to do this. I'm not supposed to. And he said, look, if you don't make a decision right now, by the time I get a hold of her folks, she won't be here. So he said, do it. And that had to be a hard decision for somebody that had only known me for 3 months.
So
thank you.
it was a tough, no, it was a tough, see, y'all, I can't, she's going to take over here in a minute, but, and she wasn't even awake. She had a tracheotomy and her head's swollen like a basketball, but she's going to take over. But during this time, and a lot of times we really preach this to people that are in a coma or people that have family members in a coma. We knew that Kate was in there. And it's tough to say that when their eyes are swollen shut and their head is as big as a basketball, but